What's going on? It's May 17th, right? So two things to watch today. Well, three. Me, hopefully you're watching this. And then CNN 10. It's a pretty good one. I think B minus, maybe. I'll talk about why it doesn't quite get that A. And then a video that I hope you're really going to like. We've only touched on this topic, I think, second quarter. But when we talked about Ukraine, but there's going to be a video I'm going to ask you to watch. It's about 20 minutes, kind of eerie, but it's about Chernobyl, which was a nuclear power plant. We don't have a lot of those in the United States anymore. And it had like a malfunction with one of its reactors, and it spread some hazardous material into the air, on the ground. And the problem is it could cause cancer over the long term. Nuclear power plants are great when they work well, not so great when they don't work, because it can cause a higher number of cancer cases in that area. And Indigo Traveler is the YouTuber, has almost 1 million subs, does really great work, often visits war-torn countries. So he just did a long series in Brazil. While that's not a war-torn country, there is a lot of economic problems there in Brazil right now. And he went up to Guatemala, I think it was. But now he's coming back. He's been there once, and now he's going back to this Ukrainian city called Pripyat. It used to have 50,000 people. So almost the size of Lewiston and Auburn combined. We're just a little bit bigger, I think, together. But overnight, they had to leave. The government. You'll hear it's in Russian, but you'll hear, or you can read the. Got to read a little bit. Oh no, but you'll be able to read the subtitles, and it's the government warning people like, hey, they had buses for them. You'll see that he recaps the event. So really good stuff, I think. And Maine used to have a nuclear power plant in a town called Wiscasset, not that far from Bath, if you've ever been there. It was called Maine Yankee. It's no longer running, but when I was like in 4th grade, we actually visited the nuclear power plant. I think I don't watch The Simpsons, but I think if you watch The Simpsons, doesn't Homer Simpson, doesn't he work in a nuclear power plant? So it can be really cheap energy. It's just the problem is the waste from that is just awful for people, for the environment. It's really hard to dispose of. That's the problem. So getting into CNN 10, they are going to talk about the recent announcement that the CDC gave out. And the CDC it stands for the Center for Disease Control. You've probably heard quite a bit of that about that agency over the last year or so. CDC, they're usually not that busy. They've been very busy for the last year because of COVID. So they are based in Atlanta, and they are just a guide. Like, they will give out information to help people when there's an outbreak. Not even when just any diseases. They're a good source for information. So was it last week they said, hey, people who are fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. Don't have to wear a mask outside. You don't have to wear a mask in public. You're fully vaccinated. Well, there's some people that aren't exactly happy about that. And CNN's going to talk about that too. Some stores like Walmart have said, yeah, we're going to follow the CDC. Don't worry about the mask. Now, this is where things get a little tricky, because in Maine, Governor Mills, we still have a mask mandate until May 24th, I believe. So you need to wear a mask, right? That's what the governor is saying. Stores are following along with that, stores in Maine. But as I said before in some classes, I believe, I went to New Hampshire last weekend. They no longer have a mask mandate. So I was inside a hockey rink. I was not wearing a mask. But then when I went into a store in the same town, the store still had the policy, if you come in, please mask up. And then we went to like another city in New Hampshire. So even though the state mandate was done, that local city still had the mandate. So you did have to wear a mask indoors, I think it was. So we might see that happen in Maine next week. The 24th comes around. There won't be a mask mandate in Maine anymore. But like school, they're going to visit a school, like the school, because so many young people weren't vaccinated, like we'll probably still have our mask mandate. And then who knows, maybe places like Walmart or maybe the city of Lewiston and Auburn will say, yeah, I know the governor said no masks, but I don't know. I probably not. But so a couple things that could concern people. New York Yankees. I'm a Red Sox fan. I don't like talking about the Yankees, but they did have an outbreak here. As you can see, there was an outbreak of 9 cases, and these are actually fully vaccinated adults that have contracted COVID. And you might be saying, oh no, what? All 9 members of the team have been fully vaccinated. Well, luckily, if we skip down here a little bit, watch me not be able to find it. It basically, okay, right here. It said Nevin, whoever that is. It said the 9 had mild symptoms, or sorry, 2 of the 9 had mild symptoms, and 7 were asymptomatic. So they didn't even have any symptoms. And that's what we've been told about the vaccine, is that like it's almost 100% that you're not even going to get COVID. But if you do get COVID, you may not know it because you'll be asymptomatic, or your symptoms are going to be really mild. The idea is to keep people out of the hospital so that our hospitals aren't, overrun and all that stuff. Some of the stuff we saw early on happening in Italy, where there was just like no hospital beds for people. So that's the idea of the vaccine. There's a nurses union though. And teachers have unions. A lot of professions have unions. It's basically like where, teachers, I'll just take teachers because I know it a little bit more. We're not as strong as we are like one teacher saying, hey, I have a problem. But a union of teachers, like that's almost every teacher in that district, they're a little bit more powerful. So a national nurses union has said, yeah, CDC, we think this is not good. This is endangering some patients. So there is a little bit of pushback on that. So far, 120,000 Americans have been fully vaccinated. It's about 37% of the population. And what President Biden is saying is, hey, it's an honor system. Like we're not going around checking your card to see if you've been vaccinated. It's the honor system. So if you've been vaccinated fully, please, take your mask off if you want. If you feel more comfortable with your mask, leave it on, whatever. But they're not going to be going around checking people. It's the honor system. Sometimes you'll see that, campgrounds have it all the time. If your family's ever gone camping, usually off season, so not like in the summer, but if you go in the winter or something, there'll be a little box. Hey, it costs $5 to get in here. Just leave your money in the box. It's the honor system. You can go right through and not pay. You would be a horrible person if you did that using the honor system, but that's what the honor system is all about. Like we just trust you. We just trust you that you're vaccinated. You'll keep your mask off. Another thing that I found interesting, but I'm an old guy. I'm 45 years old. There was a house, or there are starting to be houses that are printed like on a 3D printer. So they'll come up and then there was this one house, I think it was printed in like 24 hours, which is pretty awesome. I got the test, the question wrong. Just making sure. I was expecting maybe an email from a student. Nope. Just my wife telling me I'm the best husband ever. She didn't say that. She should have. She didn't say that though. Another thing, this is why it's a B-. It's like, okay, you just updated visitor. You just updated us on the Olympics last week. So nothing has changed. The Olympics are still planned. There was one kind of interesting thing that I thought. More than 50% of the people who live in Japan think that the Olympics should be canceled. I'm just going to give my opinion right now. Those things aren't getting canceled. There's way too much money involved, way too much money and planning involved. Although some smaller cities, anytime there's an Olympic Games, this happened in Atlanta. I was living kind of outside of Atlanta in '96 when the Olympics happened here. That it might say the Atlanta Games, but there were some, because it's such a massive event, there were actually some events held in Tennessee. I think maybe some in North Carolina. So even though it says the Tokyo Olympics, there are smaller cities surrounding Tokyo that are responsible for housing athletes and stuff. So some of those cities have said, not us, man. You count us out. We're not, yeah, you're on your own. So that might be something that would cancel the games if there are enough people in Japan not willing to cooperate. But the IOC, it's the International Olympic Committee, no, they want those games going on because there's a lot of money involved. What, am I getting another? No, it's just my phone letting me know, hey, you didn't answer that. I'll answer her later. Oh, does that make me not the best husband ever again? I think that's it. Yeah. So rise in cases in Japan, not as many people getting vaccinated as the US. Hey, just let's pat ourselves on the back for a little bit. The world was laughing at us last summer, like, oh my gosh, you see how many cases they have? Yeah, we had a lot of cases, but guess what? We now have a lot of vaccines. So guess what? USA. We're doing pretty well. We might have a summer that's close to normal. Hope so. Fingers crossed. See you later.